Live from our studio here in Kukumlimle, Accra, this is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this hour, Parliament forced to adjourn after all minority MPs abandoned proceedings. We have details as some MPs describe the actions of their colleague NDC MPs as irresponsible, insisting the charges against some of the NDC MPs will not be dropped. Also, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin tears into Supreme Court for striking out the law granting license to grow cannabis, asking the court to learn about Parliament processes before acting. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please stay for details.
Joy News Prime Headlines was brought to you by
Don't take risks. Use a condom every time.
And thanks to Malatu, I kicked out malaria one time.
Some spices. Yes, sir.
The Parliament was forced to adjourn Thursday's sitting without dealing with some business on the order paper after NDC MPs abandoned sitting to accompany some of their colleagues to court. A number of questions could not be asked despite the ministers being present in the House. Some MPs say their colleagues acted irresponsibly by abandoning the House. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante reports.
Minority had served notice unless the criminal charges against their colleagues were dropped. They would leave Parliament and accompany them to court anytime their cases were called. They described the prosecution as persecution. Minority Chief Whip Gavins Kwame Agboja told Joy News that prosecutions must end.
The minority will not be participating in business on the floor because we are accompanying our two colleagues, Honorable Kwesi and Honorable Atuforson, who are due to be in court this morning. Based on that, we are unable to attend to any government business. We'll be in court to support them. I think the minority leader gave this hint when he was making comments after the swearing-in of our colleague, Honorable Kwesi, on Tuesday. We are in court in solidarity of our colleagues who are being persecuted as far as we are concerned.
At various points of today's sitting, the numbers in the House did not reach the required quorum, but the House proceeded regardless to lay a few papers and rescheduled questions.
Questions that stand in the names of the members that are present will be permitted to be asked the minister, so that the minister can answer that and go back to conduct other business. So 5A and I think 5B2 is not around, so I direct that they be rescheduled.
Health Honorable Ajimameno, Minister for Tourism Honorable Awal were all here to respond to the questions, but the members were not available. The Hansard must capture same for the record.
Following adjournment of the House, some NPP MPs described the actions of their NDC colleagues as irresponsible.
I don't know where. They were elected to come and sit in Parliament. They were not elected to be accompanying people to court. Their constituents should take note that today they asked a lot of questions about their educational infrastructure, about their health infrastructure, and about tourism in their various constituencies. But they were not in Parliament to even ask those questions. The ministers were there, the answers were provided, but yet none of them were not in the chamber, in the excuse that they have accompanied somebody to court. I don't know what kind of democracy or parliamentary procedure is this, but we are watching them keenly, and the business of the day is done for now. So if we as legislators are making laws and we expect the judiciary to implement it, now we are now telling them that so now Kwesi is above every other Ghanaian, so they should actually call that all cases in court should be dropped, but not of a particular person. Thank you.
Because if something happens, we don't take. If we allow him to be not acquitted, but if there's no prosecutor, then obviously you're setting a precedent that would linger on into the future. However, it doesn't also exonerate him, because another Attorney General can come in the future and pick it up and decide to prosecute him. So for me, I think the best thing for him is to go through the processes. If he's found not guilty, hooray, he'll come back and come and work with us. If he's found guilty, he pays for his crimes, and then we continue and move on. So for me, that's it.
So it was an empty house with all 137 NDC MPs deciding that they were going to accompany their colleagues who are in court. Parliament was forced to adjourn because they simply did not have the numbers to do a lot of other key governmental business. What is expected to happen tomorrow is that we expect that the NDC MPs will now come in and do key government business. But what we expect now is that a number of key business on the other paper, questions and other things did not happen, and NPP MPs were on the floor, but their colleagues on the minority side were not there. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, the Attorney General and the lawyers for Asen North MP split heads over the alleged prejudicial comment of President Akufo-Addo and at the Asen Breku when the tape was played in court. Lawyer for James Jachikwesin Chachu Chikata called out the President and the Attorney General for their comments, which suggests the matter had been prejudged. In court on Thursday, Chachu Chikata submitted to the court to stay proceedings pending a case before the Court of Appeal. According to him, the judge erred in law when she ruled for the trial to be done on a daily basis. Richard Kojonyako was in court and has come through with this report.
It was a busy day in court today. It appears that all the minority MPs were here in the court. The first case was the James Jachikwesin, the Asen North MP, and it was about his criminal trial. In fact, when the case started, his lawyer, Chachu Chikata, went ahead to make the application of stay of proceedings pending an appeal they have made before the Court of Appeal. Lawyer for James Jachikwesin, Chachu Chikata, stated that the court erred in the exercise of its discretionary powers, contrary to what Article 296 indicates. Again, he made the point that the comment made by the President at Asen Breku, coupled with the comment by the Attorney General, both in court and outside the court, were prejudicial. He further stated that the court's ruling for the case to be tried on a day-to-day basis is an affront to the law. Over a minute of the comments of the President on tape was requested to be played. A few seconds into the playing of the comment, the Attorney General intervened and said the entire tape should rather be played to situate the President's comments in the proper context. The Attorney General, Godfrey Abuadami, insisted the comment made by himself and that of the President were not to prejudge the matter. According to him, the comment they sought to make was that Adamu Dramani Sakandi's case is not different from the Joe Jachikwesin's case. Director Legal Affairs of the NDC, Abraham Amalba, has been addressing the media after the court proceedings.
We complain about the daily trial. It doesn't matter whether before the elections or after the elections. It's about the daily trial. We have even said that there's no criminal in this country, or if an accused person in this country, who has been tried day to day. We are yet to see that. And so we indicated that it is going to be against Article 19, which talks about fair trial, and Article 296, which has to do with proper discretion. And we are saying that the judge didn't exercise her discretion properly. And for that matter, if she continues without giving hearing to our plea, it will prejudice the case. And it will also mean that the comments made by the President and the Attorney General will be carried out by her. It shouldn't be that when the ordinary Ghanaian is watching from afar, would say that, oh, what this judge is doing is in furtherance of what the President and the Attorney General has said already. It is also important that we ensure that fair trial is given, not only in this case, but in subsequent cases. We can only be right. I want any of you here to show me which accused person from number 1 through to the vigilante guys who attacked the same judge, through to all the cases, in which case have you found that the case is heard day to day.
The judge, after listening to the counsel for the accused and the state, adjourned its ruling to the 11th of July 2023,
Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi, who spoke on behalf of the NDC majority MPs, also addressed the media after the case involving the minority leader, Kesha Latoforsen, and Collins Dauda was adjourned to the 27th of July 2023. He said the country currently does not have a Minister of Justice. The days of the Attorney General, Godfrey Adami, are numbered.
And so what you have seen here today is in line with the announcement that was made by the leadership of the Minority Caucus, that henceforth they will be boycotting proceedings in the House anytime any of their colleagues will have to appear before the courts. But one thing is clear in all these things. In all these things, what is clear is that Ghana today does not have a Minister of Justice. We may have an Attorney General who is a principal legal advisor to the President, but we don't have a Minister of Justice, because the man who bears that title has demonstrated time and again that he doesn't deserve that title. He doesn't understand the responsibilities that come with that title. He's not interested in doing justice. He's not interested in a fair trial. He's only interested in abusing his prosecutorial powers, in going after political opponents. One thing is certain, that the day of reckoning, the day of accountability for Godfrey Adami is coming. Thank you. And if that day will not come after the 2024 elections, that day will come soon, because very soon we will be holding his feet to the fire of accountability. His conduct as Attorney General, particularly in relation to his advice and recommendations on matters of some matters of judgment debts, have come to our attention. And in the coming days, we will be addressing you in the media and by extension the good people of this country.
So will the minority members of Parliament come back to court on the 11th and the 27th of July 2023 to solidarize with their colleagues who are facing various charges in court? Time will tell.
Reporting from the court complex, my name is Richard Kwejenyako for Joy News.
Well, back in Parliament, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has torn into the Supreme Court for striking out the law granting license to grow cannabis, popularly known as weed, because there was no debate in Parliament on it before its passage. The Speaker of Parliament called on the judges to respect Parliament and to learn about its processes before rendering judgment on their work. Alban Bagbin said it's improper for the Supreme Court to have struck out Section 43 of the Act.
We are, however, not reviewing the decision of the Supreme Court. What we are seeking to do is to correct an error and reinstate the right provision. And so I am going to refer the bill to the Committee on Defense and Interior for consideration and report to the House. Since it is just a section, the committee could present the report within 1 week. It's a matter that is dear to my heart personally, and I think the country is losing a lot as a result of this decision. We need to work expeditiously to rectify the wrong. I hope that the three arms of government will work together and respect each other. In cases of doubt, it's important to consult the other arm before giving finality to whatever decision the other arm wants to take. And I don't think that is proper for the judiciary to, without knowing how we conduct our business here, really go into how we conduct the business and make such important decisions without consulting the House. That is improper. I have made this known to them, and I want this to be known publicly. This is for the benefit of the country. So please, committee, you are given 1 week to submit your report.
Well, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry also described the Supreme Court's ruling as a grievous error.
Mr. Speaker,
the shared majority decision declared Section 43 of Act 1019 as unconstitutional and null and void. Mr. Speaker, permit me to state that I respect the decision of the Supreme Court, but I do not agree with it. And Mr. Speaker, the reason that has been given is that that session had not been debated before this House when this House was passing the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1090. Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Speaker of this House does state that a matter is for the consideration of this House, it is open for debate, and the debate is not only when opposing views are expressed. At the end of it, when there are no contrary views expressed, the Speaker then puts the question. So consensus is part of the debate, and therefore it is wrong for the court to say that it was in violation of Article 106 of the 1992 Constitution. To therefore say that Section 43 is unconstitutional because there was no debate was, in my humble opinion, a grievous error. But because we need to be in tandem with the international movement, and also that we consider this to be a public health issue, and the benefits of medicinal and industrial as well as the economic value, this amendment is necessary to let us put back what has been, in my view, erroneously declared unconstitutional.
Meanwhile, government has reintroduced the same section which was struck out by the Supreme Court as an amendment in Parliament. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says the state will lose out without this amendment.
It is also important at this juncture to say that this bill does not seek to legalize recreational use of cannabis. No. It seeks to allow the minister to issue a special license for cannabis that is produced to a certain specification, which is 0.3% THC. And Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, where you and I come from, there's a popular vegetable called birr. Birr has a higher THC than 0.3%, yet it's not toxic and does not set anybody acting in any ways that are unreasonable. Mr. Speaker, what we have, therefore, is that we are moving in tandem with the modern approach to the production of this cannabis to the specific specification for industrial and medicinal use. And that is a matter that actually has been adopted by a number of African countries, including South Africa, Lesotho, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Rwanda, and recently Zambia. We also have that it's a trend that gives economic benefits to the countries. And we have the trend now that $1 billion is out there, and countries like the United States, Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Argentina, and Peru have all identified and are going along to make sure they achieve what is useful. Mr. Speaker, at the appropriate time, for now is to say that we want this amendment, and the amendment is going to introduce the section 43 exactly the way it was.
Well, joining us on this is CEO of Hempa Agric Ghana Limited, Nana Kweku Ajiman. He joins us via Zoom. Nana, grateful for you to join us here. What's your reaction to the Speaker's, reaction in Parliament today?
First of all, good evening to you and a good evening to all your viewers. May I just comment on your introduction, because it was clarified by Honourable Mr. Derry, where he talked about cannabis with 0.3 THC. Now, I need to draw your attention to the fact that this is not commonly known or popularly known as weed.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with it at all. This is all about industrial hemp and medicinal hemp. So it's nothing to do with weed at all.
Thanks
We is recreational. We is recreational. So back to your question. I've heard two learned members of Parliament speak about what their opinion is with regards to the Supreme Court's decision. And to be honest, they're in the best position to criticize that decision. And I would go along with their view. However, I think it's important to note that Honourable Bagbin said that they were going to correct a wrong. So clearly, even though they didn't like the fact that the Supreme Court has poked its nose into their business and to the way Parliament manages their affairs, there is a semblance of recognition that the process that they followed, something went wrong. And so Honourable Bagbin has said they're going to correct the wrong. Honourable Derry has said, well, we will resubmit the Section 43 and then they'll take it from there. You see, the main issue was all about it not being gazetted, because the Section 43 significantly changed the Narcotics Control Commission Act 1019, because prior to that, there was nothing in there that gave the minister the power to distribute licenses. You see? So when that section was now introduced, because of the significant change, it should have really been gazetted before it was passed hook, line and sinker as part and parcel of the law. That's really what should have happened. And that was the basis that the Supreme Court agreed with the plaintiff and said it went against the Constitution, sections 106 and 108 and various other subsections. So I think the most qualified people have spoken about how they see what has happened with the intervention of the Supreme Court.
Okay. So from now on, what's your expectation, about what's happening now that the Speaker says, well, Supreme Court cannot do this. Government says, I'm reintroducing that chapter.
Well, the issue about the Supreme Court not being able to do this, that's not my issue anymore. That's not the stakeholders' issue anymore. Clearly, they have done whatever they've done. What is key and what is very important now is the fact that the Speaker has given the committee, the Interior and Defence Committee, it's a parliamentary select committee or subcommittee, he's given them a week to submit their report. And basically within that report will be the body of the text of Section 43 once again. And I would trust then at that point, when it comes to Parliament, they will do what they need to do insofar as it's a requirement for them to gazette it. And once they gazette it for 14 days, that will be the end of that process, and then it can now be readmitted into law. Because the clarification that Honourable Derry gave was the fact that we're not talking about recreational cannabis.
Okay.
We're talking about industrial cannabis for industrial use and medicinal use.
Okay.
And both honourable members were at great pains of making it quite clear that us as a country, Ghana, is losing out on enormous amounts of revenue because we are not cultivating. So I think those are really the issues. So I'm really looking forward to it. A week today, it should be back in Parliament, and that will speed up the process because Ghana has a lot of stakeholders, a lot of farmers who are ready to go out there and start cultivating.
Sure.
So it's good news. It's good news.
Thank you very much, Nana Kwekwajiman, for joining us on this. Now, moving on to other stories. The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, has identified inadequate funding from governments as a major setback in the delivery of its 3-in-1 mandate ascribed to it by the 1992 Constitution. SHRAJ boss Joseph Whittal made the statement at the 30th anniversary launch here in Accra.
The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, has launched its 30th anniversary to commemorate its 3 decades of unwavering dedication to promotion of human rights and good governance in Ghana. The half-year-long event is to reflect on its past achievements, discuss current challenges, and outline the future direction. The occasion was used to unveil the theme for the celebration and the logo as well. Speaking at the event, Commissioner of SHRAJ, Joseph Whittal, lamented how SHRAJ is cash-strapped due to the inadequate funding from government, which is hindering its mandate delivery.
So the major challenge the Commission has faced over these years is inadequate funding for the institution that is, for all practical purposes, 3 institutions rolled into one, but funded as if it is only one institution. That is the paradox of this commission. We have tried to explain to government over the years. Even the judiciary has tried in these decisions or judgments to explain that we are 3 in 1, but the Ministry of Finance sees us only as one and gives us resources for only one.
Mr. Whittal added that despite the challenges, the Commission has chalked many successes in promoting human rights and ensuring good governance.
Some of the key achievements the Commission has chalked in promoting and protecting human rights and entrenching a culture of respect for human rights in the country started very early with 1, the Commission leading in advocacy against the practice of trochasy as a dehumanizing traditional practice. Traditional practice has been criminalized. We also led in promoting the fight against female genital mutilation. FGM is now driven underground and criminalized.
Well, the minority in caucus in Parliament have criticized government for the continuous delay in the release of funds to the Food and Drugs Authority. According to the minority spokesperson on health, Kwabena Minta Kando, the FDA is struggling to fulfill its core mandate of protecting consumers against substandard food products on the market due to the non-release of funds, especially with the outbreak of anthrax. Ranking member on the Health Committee is warning there could be a major disease outbreak if the trend continues.
It will interest you to know that Food and Drugs Authority has stopped these activities, subjecting everybody in the public to a very high risk. In fact, the market surveillance is what allows the Food and Drugs Authority to authenticate the wholesomeness or otherwise of foods and other products in the system. And so with the emergence or the outbreak of anthrax, everybody would have expected that the Food and Drugs Authority would have intensified its operations. But unfortunately, they have stopped this market surveillance. The GMP inspection also allows the Food and Drugs Authority to also set standards or to inspect standards for processes and manufacturing in the companies, whether or not they are following the right standard, both within the country and outside the country. So medicines or drugs and foods that are imported into this country, Food and Drugs Authority sends their personnel outside the country to inspect, to go on inspection those companies, whether they are doing the right thing. But as I speak to you now, they have stopped these activities. And the only reason they are giving is that the Food and Drugs Authority is broke. They have no money. The minister responsible for finance is refusing to release money to the authority. We are all here. We heard and saw what happened in Asenov. Government was able to mobilize money for the continuation and completion of projects in Asenov because of by-elections, and even went ahead to organize money to induce voters. Now, a matter such as this, a matter that borders on public health, we have no money to undertake this, and it has never happened in the history of Ghana. Don't forget that the Food and Drugs Authority is a very, very important institution. You and I, our grandfathers, our parents, they walk into any shop and buy anything at all and they consume. We are all relying on the Food and Drugs Authority for the safety, that they are doing the right thing and that any product in the shops are safe for consumption. And so we are calling on the government, the minister responsible for finance to be specific, that as a matter of urgency, they should release money to the Food and Drugs Authority to continue to perform their mandate as expected. This is very sensitive, very, very sensitive.
Well, Kwabena Mintakando himself joins us on the telephone line now with more. Grateful for joining us. You're on the Health Committee, so what you say is born out of fact. Is this something that has come before your committee that in fact the Finance Ministry has not released funds to the FDA?
Yes, as part of our routine oversight responsibility, we try to pay visits to various institutions, take information from the public, try sometimes even pay surprise visits to places and all that. But what is important and we noted was that the Food and Drugs Authority for some time now has stopped very, very critical activities that helps them to perform their functions. And you and I know that we all rely on the Food and Drugs Authority to determine whether or not a particular food or drug is wholesome or is the efficacy of the drug is good, you know. But there are two main activities. One they call the market surveillance. So it is a market surveillance that allows them to determine the wholesomeness or the otherwise of the food. And this is exactly what they have stopped, you know. And another one they call the GMP inspection, the General Manufacturing Process Inspection. So even sometimes they have to travel outside the country to inspect.
They are not able to do that because Finance Ministry, they say, has not released funds to them.
They are broke. They are broke. So it's a very dangerous. And you know, there is an outbreak of anthrax, you recall, right?
Yes, I know.
Good. And so this is the time everybody is expecting that the Food and Drugs Authority would, intensify their activities. But unfortunately, absolutely nothing of that nature is going on.
And this is your meeting with the FDA. How much did they say they have received from government this year?
Well, if you look at the budget we approved for FDA, government is supposed to release not less than 33 million Ghana cedis to the FDA. And one thing that is clear is that FDA charges companies for some activities, and they call it fees. You know, if you charge a fee is supposed to be used for a particular purpose. And so if you charge a fee and Flagstaff House says that out of the fees you have charged, bring us part of the money. If the fee is not exorbitant, what it means is that that fee cannot, the remaining fees cannot perform the function for which we have charged, unless, of course, the charge was exorbitant. And this is exactly what is happening. Even when they have charged companies fees, government says bring experts in Flagstaff House. So as I speak to you now, they are supposed to release not less than 33 million Ghana cedis. And the fees they even charge within, the government comes to take portions of the fee back to wherever they like, whether Flagstaff House or wherever, or Ascend-Off or wherever.
These are grievous allegations, but we'll follow through on them for us.
These are not mere allegations. I don't talk for the fun of it. And I've done this for some time now. Yeah. They are not allegations. We did the press conference this morning, and you are speaking to me past 7 p.m. If they have any response, they should come out. If I'm lying, they should come and put it out there.
Oh, no.
Because
the fact that government demands some percentage of charges that FDA takes from companies, that's what I'm saying, that these are things that we need to follow up on. But I'm grateful to you for joining us. Kwabena Mintakando is ranking on the Health Committee of Parliament. You're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back from the break. Now, some property owners on the Pediasi Hills are demanding for structural integrity tests on buildings sited on the Pediasi Mountains. This follows some falling rocks that blocked portions of the Pediasi-Ayi Mensa Road Wednesday. My colleague Carlos Caloni returns from the hills with the following report.
Engineers are going to come around to certify the structures, test them to see if indeed the structures are durable to stand the test of time, or some actions needs to be taken on them. That aside, the contractor who's working is also being met to ensure that he speeds up his work, so we do not have a future occurrence.
This directive comes as debris from fallen rocks cover the Pediasi to Ayi Mensa section on the road Wednesday, impeding free flow of traffic. Today, residents are united in backing the call for such a test.
I think it's a right decision, because how the stones have fallen, it makes things difficult here. Because we are even scared. When it falls and maybe a car is coming, it can hit on the car and things might get worse. So it's a nice decision he's taking. So we are also happy about it.
Me, I second. They should let the engineers come and check. Because sometimes, the last time it rains, the stones falls, when you are going down, you can see. I think that would be the best. Maybe when you say, the person spend money on the structure and all sort of things, so let's leave it for, in some times or in some years, it can cause much danger. So I think if the building that is not strong, and they can demolish, I think that would be the best.
I think that should be done, you see the thing. But then the thing is, who even allow people even to first develop the mountain top? See that thing? Yeah. So these are some other things. Me, I will support whatever they decide doing.
Even though the debris has been fully cleared, the drains remain heavily silted. Managers of the hotel have already begun works.
Since the minister gave the orders yesterday, we have brought our men around. We are trying to construct a blockway here so that when the water comes, it will just go direct down the drain over there. Demolition, if you talk about demolition, well, if it will be in the general interest of the society, well, if you give us the needed compensation, we are good to go. That is a sensible thing, like I think he said. If they are doing a reassessment of the whole property up there, then I think so far so good. That is good to do, yeah. So you can assess those ones which are weak, and then you can pull it down, provided you give adequate compensation for the owners, yeah.
For now, property owners on the Pediasi Hill can continue to enjoy the beautiful views from their homes. But until that structural integrity test ordered by the Eastern Regional Minister is carried out on their properties, their fate hangs in the balance. Reporting from the Pediasi Hills here in the Eastern Region, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Now, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, has vowed he will do everything within his power to improve police and community relations. Speaking at the Sapeiman Basic 2 School, he said that is one of the surest ways of achieving effective policing. On his interaction tour of the Greater Accra region earlier today, the IGP bumped into 3 school children who fled when they saw him and his team. He walked with them to school while encouraging them to make police their friend. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
It's morning here at Amasaman. School children are on their way to school. The 3 of them in the community will meet an unexpected visitor, the Inspector General of Police. As a natural reaction by many children when they see the police, they start to run away. The IGP Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare got down from his car and decided to walk with the 3 school children to school. It was a long walk together with other top police officers. He first went to the homes of the pupils to introduce himself to their parents.
The police is here. The police is here. So we are here.
That encounter culminated in an unplanned sensitization at the Sapeiman MA2 Basic School, where the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, urged the students to see the police as their friend.
I'm trying to recover from the shock that I had after meeting the little ones who saw people who were supposed to protect them, and they started running. But I know one thing, that is a good thing that we witnessed, and we pick the relevant lessons, and we are going to double our steps in trying to build partnership and engage the community for us to be able to win your hearts and minds, to win the hearts and minds of your elder siblings, the hearts and minds of your parents, the hearts and minds of your uncles, the hearts and minds of your grandparents, and more importantly, the hearts and minds of your little siblings whom we just dispatched. So that's the assurance I want to give you.
Yes, so watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Welcome back to Showbiz, and Becky Bex is here.
Hello to you, Brace. It's a beautiful Thursday, and today I was at the launch of Tehila Experience with Ohima Mercy, and it's a 10th edition, and well, it will be, it has actually been moved to the Oil Dome. I was at the event. Let's take a highlights of everything that happened. Finally, the big launch that we've been looking forward to is here. We've seen a lot of people coming through to support the Queen, the gospel music queen, Ohima Mercy. Good to see you once again. You look beautiful. What do you make of the whole, you know?
It's amazing looking at the fire, and the presence is something else. And I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody. And I was just expressing how grateful I am, and how far God has brought us is amazing. 10 years, I must be frank with you. I don't know how God did it, but glory be to God.
We have a new venue, Oil Dome, and we have a lot of people on the bill. I saw your sister. Actually, all your sisters,
Dana Hamilton, the 3 of us, and something will happen. Amazingly, God gave us these powerful eagles for this year, and I know God is going to use them massively to bring back something that is lost in people's life.
What inspired the decision to go with fire and fragrance this time?
I was actually praying, and then I had a call from my father, Budi Nyamiche, of Maker's House, and then I gave him 3 names. And he never mentioned any of them. And he said, whilst you were praying with me, I just heard in my spirit that this year is going to be the fire and the fragrance.
I know that for the past 10 years that you're doing this, it hasn't been ticketed. We don't pay anything. It's free. Are we still coming to the oil dome for free?
Forever and ever. And it's a covenant we have with the Lord on this altar. We'll never take money. All we need is that come as you are, no matter who you are, just come onto this altar.
What I can say is that what we have just seen here is an example that what is going to happen on the 13th of August. It means it's going to be a fire night.
What do you make of the whole journey?
It's very refreshing and reflecting on how it all started. It just come to me as a joy and an excitement to see the 10 years of, if it's a human being, this is the 10th year of a baby that was born 10 years ago, and it's exciting to see it grow to this extent. And we're expecting that on the 10th year, God is about starting something new.
Tahila at 10. You know what, I can't promise you anything, right? But the strong presence of God. This year, it carries something different. And I want everyone watching me to save the date. It's on the 13th of August. Please save the date.
I'm humbled and I feel fire inside of me. And I know that God is going to do something. I'm very optimistic about, people receiving healings on the 13th of August at the Oil Dome. And to be part of this movement, all I can say is glory to Jesus.
So I'm very, very happy to be a part of Tahila Experience. I mean, the 10th anniversary, I'm so excited.
10 years of Tahila Experience.
Well, so you should save the date for Tahila Experience this year. It's going to be fire. But, Uncle Bo, he had his, dress and technical rehearsals for his upcoming play. And, of course, we were there.
Prison with hard labor. He then take on the full government. Who does he think he is?
Uncle White and the Roverman production on Wednesday the 5th of July had their final dress rehearsal to their play titled I Like What You Like at the National Theatre, and they opened up for the general public to come and be part. And believe you me, it felt like the main play itself.
I really love the production. It's crazy, man.
I had great fun. I have been inspired and encouraged.
It's an educative and I've learned a lot.
Well, before we go, we have Throwback Thursday today, and our throwback person for today is Michael Oswado, known professionally as Sarkodie. He is a Ghanaian rapper, songwriter, and entrepreneur from Tema. His contribution to the Ghanaian music industry have earned him numerous accolades, including the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards Artist of the Decade.
That's how we wrap up the
We didn't have enough time, but hopefully tomorrow we get enough time.
All right, and that's it. That's how we wrap up the bulletin. But there's more news on myjoyonline.com. It's now time for us to bring in Prime Business with Beverly Broom. Good evening.